So this is a reaction video on how Dr. Ids is here criticizing Food Babe, who's out there fighting to ban artificial dyes and flavors and colors from kids' cereals or Skittles, for example. She's going to the US government trying to get these harmful chemicals out because they make the food brighter and more appealing to kids. Truthfully, you gotta start somewhere, right? You can't just jump from eat whatever to only eat fruits and vegetables overnight. Eliminating or at least reducing these food chemicals is a solid first step. Now, Dr. Ids is all about research, and I get that. It's important, but we also need to recognize that ultra-processed food are deeply embedded in our culture. Processing food isn't the issue, it's when we overload it with chemicals, especially in foods marketed to kids. That's where it becomes dangerous. Studies on individual chemicals like aspartame or dyes are fine, but when you throw them all together in foods that kids eat daily, it's a different story. Food Babe is pushing to get these chemicals out of kids' cereals, and I think that's a fight worth supporting. Wouldn't you agree? We're not going to eliminate all ultra-processed foods. That's just not realistic. People aren't going to switch to fruits and vegetables overnight, but we can definitely start by cutting out the harmful stuff like artificial dyes and flavors. I mean, why need them? Why? In foods like Canada or the UK, where healthcare is covered by the government, they're more cautious about what goes into our food. But in the US, where the government isn't paying those healthcare bills, they're not as strict about food chemicals. The result? Well, ultra-processed foods are everywhere, and many Americans don't even know how bad they are. At the end of the day, Dr. Ids isn't wrong about cutting back on ultra-processed food, but we need to support what Food Babe is doing too. Instead of criticizing her efforts, we should be focusing on the food companies pushing these harmful chemicals in the first place. They're making food that looks like fun and colorful. It's packed with ingredients that aren't good for our kids, especially when they're growing, their bodies and their organs, their brains and everything. I saw a mother give her kid, a 2-year-old kid, recently some candy. I was like thinking, what are you doing? It's so normalized now, but that doesn't make it okay. Kids shouldn't be eating these chemicals regularly, especially candy, sure, but maybe once in a while, but not every day or week like so many families do with fast foods and snacks. We need to fight the real fight, starting with getting these chemicals out of our food. Again, if you're looking at 1 chemical or 2 chemicals or 3 chemicals, it's totally fine. But when you add them all together and you're consuming them on a daily basis, it's not. Everyone knows that hot dogs aren't healthy, but no one knows how really bad they are, how ultra-processed meats are really bad for our health. So you think it's okay to be eating them. You think it's okay to be eating them once a week or twice a week? Well, it's not. I wish that Dr. Ids isn't just criticizing these health gurus on social media. He's actually fighting the good fight as well. You know, with misinformation, I love it. I love it. You know, keep doing what you're doing. But when you're attacking only these individuals and not the food companies, something wrong here. But when you look at the food industry, how everything's ultra processed and the Western diet is lacking fiber, for example, and so many other things, all the illnesses and sickness, like for most part, are coming from a poor diet. So you should be attacking the ultra processed foods that are bad for us. Like the other day, I saw chicken nuggets, 3 pieces of them were 140 calories. I mean, it was like absurd. It's so dense, caloric food that I was so shocked. And there was lack of fiber, lack of nutrients and everything. And it's making you crave more and more and more. So I think instead of us going against each other, I think we should be working as a team and making our food diets better, healthier, in a longer way. Again, I didn't try to make this as like I'm attacking Dr. Ids. I love what he's doing, you know. He should be calling out some misinformation. But at the end of the day, you know, you should look at it, fight the better fight instead of like going for the small guys. Look, maybe attack the big guys too.